Hello and welcome back to Melbourne Airport and of course Airport CEO. In the last episode we got an absolute boatload of planning done for our brand new airport here in Melbourne. It's coming along quite nicely, but in the last episode I said I wanted to get this top area functional before we moved on with anything else, and I think I'm going to change that plan. I had so much fun recording this planning session, and honestly designing these terminals was really quite a good time for me. So instead of getting this all functional right at the start, I want to plan this out as much as I can to make sure that we don't have any issues down the road whatsoever. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to go ahead and start designing the terminal layouts, the extra satellite terminal layouts for our other 4 runways. So we'll jump into that. The other thing that I was thinking in terms of these terminals here is someone in the comments mentioned that we might need to change it up a little bit in terms of our international flights. What I'm thinking is one of these 2 terminals will be designated for international flights only. And with that in mind, we can pretty much just go ahead, jump into security, grab our automated passport checkpoints, and just have them going straight into this zone here, all the way along here, so that anyone in this terminal here can be for international flights. Later on, if we have a lot of demand for international flights, we can probably do the same thing with this terminal. These ones probably won't be, but just because they've only got the medium planes on them. But these 2 with, that'll be 6 total large flights and 8 total medium flights, can be designated for international if we so choose, and that will be pretty straightforward to implement. So I'm not too concerned about that. But with that all being said, we are going to go ahead and rotate the camera and get started designing our satellite terminals for these 2 runways here. So jump in, grab a snack, and let's get designing here. Alrighty, I think I'm pretty happy with this kind of a layout. The only thing that I'm potentially thinking about is moving this runway back a little bit closer to the edge, just so that the gap in here is a little bit wider. I feel like I want to have remote terminals somewhere for helis, and they do fit in here and in here, so potentially that's something that we could consider. But like I said, I think I would like this to be a little bit further away, just so that the room in here is a little bit bigger. That will also mean that we'll have a little bit more space in this section here to add in some more services for these terminals here, and I think that will be good. The only other thing that I don't particularly enjoy about this is just how close it is to the edge. We are very, very close to that edge, and there's only a 1 gap here, so I feel like in an ideal world, I would have moved this up to be only like 2 away from this taxiway here. But at this stage, I think it just sort of is what it is. If I was going to move anything, I would move this down by 1 and have it come all the way to the edge. Because realistically, we don't need anything to be down there anyway, so that's probably what I'll end up doing. I'm going to move this entire thing. I already had to move it once, but I'm going to do it again. And just move this down by 1 so that we have a 2 gap in here in case we need to run roads for our helis. I know that roads can go across taxiways, but I'd prefer to avoid that if at all possible. So we'll jump back into a quick little time lapse again and get this moved down just a little bit. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, okay, hear me out. Let's maybe completely change this entire thing. I'm going to leave this design the same, but I'm going to move this runway system, as well as the one on the other side all the way down here. Basically as close to the border of this map as we can. Maybe I'll leave a 2 gap. That'll give us 4 extra. And then we'll have all of this room as well. And I'll move this up to be about 2 away from this. And that way we can potentially have our helis be in here. And we can do like a cool side shoot thing to get to the helis from our main lobby. So I think that's what I want to do. It's a little bit of a pain just moving everything just because the copy and paste thing doesn't work on this sort of infrastructure. But I think in the long run, that's going to make me much, much happier with the airport as a whole. So I will go ahead and do that and we'll be right back. Alright, now I know that seems like a pretty minor change, but that's going to allow us to do a couple of things. Firstly, it's going to allow us to get some helis in here and on this side that we can route way more easily. The second thing it allows us to do is get a road coming up through here if we ever need it, and that will give us access to this entire area all the way up here. I'm thinking this area here is probably going to be used for services for this satellite terminal here. Our services for these two should be able to fit in these little gaps that we've left around the place. And then the same thing will happen over here. We'll put our stuff in there. So overall, I'm much happier with this layout. I think it's going to be really cool. And of course, we can bridge straight across from here to connect that up. And then also have a little offshoot for our helis, which should, if we have a look at a medium heli, fit in there just absolutely perfectly. We might even have a secondary little secure area down the bottom of our lobby, strictly for our helis. It's probably not going to be a very excessive security area, because obviously the helis don't carry a lot of passengers, but just one security desk should be enough to service that and let that run absolutely perfectly. So like I'm thinking maybe we have like, I don't know, 3 helis in there and then a bridge across. And then the same thing on the other side. So we'll have 6 helis in total and that'll fit in quite nicely. I'm going to leave these here for the moment just so that we know what I'm thinking. And we can go from there. But in terms of security for this terminal, it's a little bit smaller. It's only got 8 medium stands, which is going to easily fit on both of these 2 runways. I'm thinking potentially we might add some general aviation a little bit later on, maybe in this area down here that can also utilize these runways here. But I'm not 100% sure yet if I want to do that or not. For now, we're going to stick with the 8 terminals and they can use these runways with absolutely no problem whatsoever. Of course, if we do want to add general aviation later, it should be pretty straightforward and easy to do, so I'm not too concerned about that. But now, we're going to go ahead and basically copy and paste this entire thing. I wish we could copy and paste this entire thing. Unfortunately, we cannot. So I'm going to have to build that manually, but I'm going to go ahead and build this manually, move our other 2 runways over here back over a little bit, which is going to mean we're going to have to move our construction stuff as well, because they'll get in the way a little bit. We can probably get around that a little bit by just not completely finishing out the taxiways, but I mean, they're going to have to move at some point anyway. They could probably just come and live up here for now, because realistically, there's not going to be anything up here for quite a while. So let's go ahead and do that. We just need a quick little world entrance tunnel. I kind of want this to be centered. Of course, it's uneven, so it can't be centered. We'll make it off-centered then. Just a little thing. Oh, we need to not have this in planned mode. Might help. Get that in there, and then, of course, just grab ourselves our delivery site, which can live right there. And our contractor site just lives across the way from that, and a nice little public road in there, which means we can now go ahead and demolish these ones. So that should be good. I'll move this over, get this mirrored onto the other side, and we will go from there. Be right back. Alrighty, that looks pretty good to me. Of course, we still need to draw in all of our taxiway paths and things like that. But as far as traffic flow goes, I believe this will work quite nicely, actually. Pretty happy with this design as a whole. The next thing we need to figure out is how we are dealing with security in this area and how people are getting across to this area. So I guess, without further ado, that's probably going to be the next thing we work on here. And I think we're going to do pretty much the same thing we did on the opposite side. If we can find the middle here, that's, what is it, 17? So half of 16 is 8, I believe. Oh wait, that was the wrong number. That's 70. So, because it's not doing it by thing. If we actually grab the terminal tool, it'll give us much easier numbers to work with. 18, so half of that is 9. So that there is the center. So if we grab our demolition tool, get rid of those, and we want these to be, I think, 6 wide, same as our other ones, and that should work nicely. Then we can grab our terminal tool and say we want this to connect up to there. I think that's a cool way to get people in here. And we'll do a very similar thing like over here, a nice little secure area for people to come in. I don't think it needs to be as large as our other one, just because we don't have nearly as much traffic that's going to go through here. We have 8 medium stands as opposed to 16 stands combining medium and large. So this can probably be like at least half the size if we use maybe, let's do 3 security gates. Wide, that should be enough, I believe. Let's just draw out a room and see what this looks like. So that's 6. We go another 6 on either side. Something like that. And say make this, I don't know. How wide is this one? That is 13. So let's make this 13 as well. Is that the wrong number? Oh no, that's the right number. Okay, so let's go for 13. That seems very large. Is this 13? That really doesn't seem... Oh, it's... You know, it is. It's 13 by 25. Wow. This is only... Oh, that's 14, so that's not what we want. Let's get rid of that. And that's a little bit more reasonable. I guess we could extend this out a little bit further if we wanted to. Let's just extend it a little bit more for now. And then once we actually have some stuff in here, we can figure out how much of this space we actually need. Let's grab a wall. I mean, I guess it does make sense. We have a lot of stuff going on in here, but I definitely don't think it needs to be quite that wide. So I'm thinking we can potentially just copy and paste a lot of this room. We grab everything on the inside of the room. These stairs and stuff probably won't copy and paste, but that's fine. And then we can just place this right in the center there. And I believe it goes straight to the wall. Something like that. A lot of that stuff didn't place, but it sort of gives us a little guideline for where we want stuff to be. Well, like, oh, I know why none of that placed. Of course, because we need to make sure that this is actually a secure zone. How wide is this secure zone? It is 26 wide. Let's come in here, make this 26 all the way across. And then we can go back in with our copy and paste tool and hope that it works better that way. Copy that. And place it basically in the exact same spot. No, it needs to go down one. There. And then come up one and remove and put down one in place. That might work. There we go. That's what we want to see. I mean, do we need to make this smaller? I think we probably do, right? If we get rid of you and you, and then like you, and view. That should be big enough. We can move these over a little bit. So grab our copy paste mode again. Copy. Actually, we can copy both at the same time. Oh no, we can't because we're moving them across. And then go. I missed one. Copy paste this entire thing, please. And then delete it. And we're going to move these in as well. So maybe if we go somewhere like there, we can have a wall. Yeah, I think there is good. And then remove these security checkpoints because we're going to need to add new ones anyway. Jump into security exit, and go 1, 2. Well, let's see. Oh, this side 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we can have 5. We could potentially even have 6. Yeah, 6 is perfect. It's a lot of exit, but I mean, that's how wide I want this building to be, so we may as well utilize the space, right? So that's 3, 4, 5, 6 there. And then we just need to go ahead and move this over as well. And it looks like that is 2 inside the door. And lines up about there. Then we can grab our terminal demolition tool and say delete all of that and all of that, please. And then jump back in with some walls for that edge now. And that should be good to go. I'm going to get rid of these walls that we put in though, because they were for the elevators and the elevators are going to be in a different spot. But I feel like that's a reasonable size security area for that kind of size satellite terminal. It should be enough. It should be enough. We can always make it bigger on the if we need to. I don't think we're going to need to, but we can if we want to. And then in terms of getting up here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this middle section. Jump over here, go up a level, rotate it around, try to line this up with the middle, somewhere like there, and then go down a floor, place it, and that should be good. That should be more than enough in terms of access. We have 2 elevators. We have 2 staircases and 2 escalators. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And then we can have some like lounging areas down here where people might like, you know, sort their bags out, stuff like that. Are these lined up? That's 2. That's 2. Yeah, no, we're good. That's lined up. So I think that's going to be pretty good for going in here. And yeah, we're going to have separate security for our helipads, but that is absolutely fine. And I'm thinking we might also want to move those over just a little bit, just so that this lines up a little bit better. We get rid of those, jump up a level, and say leave a 4 gap might work. Let's see how that looks. This needs to be in planning mode, please. And yeah, now we have a 3 gap and a 4 gap. That's better. Yeah, that looks better to me. I think that's where we're going to put those. So we'll do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Make sure these line up. Like so. And they can go in there like that. And now, what's left to do is copy and paste this over to the other side. And then we've pretty much got our entire airport laid out in terms of runway infrastructure. Then we can move on and start designing our interiors and making sure everything is functional. So I'll get this copied over and then we will be right back after this little time lapse. Alrighty, this is looking quite good, if I do say so myself. And I indeed do. The next thing I want to go ahead and make sure is working properly is all our taxiways need to be sorted with taxiway lines. So I'm going to quickly run around our entire airport and get those taxi lines put in. I also want to delete some of this just to make that look a little bit more natural. This is purely an aesthetic choice. But I think it looks a little bit better than having those square edges. I don't like it a ton, but I don't know. It's okay. It is what it is. We might change that a couple times throughout our gameplay, but we'll see how we go. For now, I'm going to run around with taxiway parts and get everything connected, and we'll be right back. One thing I do want to briefly mention is because this is going to be all one-way traffic, you can actually come in here on any of these taxiway paths and say this is one-way only and this is one-way only the other way. So traffic can come out here and go down here, but it can't go around. And we're going to actually do the same thing here as well and say this. Actually, I'm going to move that to two-way there and put it here instead. So traffic can come either up here or go straight away. Can't come out here and turn up. So it has to go around in a counterclockwise motion for this one. And just setting these 3 points should allow that to work. The only thing that I'm not 100% sure on is if someone comes out of here and they want to get to the hangar, I don't know if they'll actually come down this way. They shouldn't in theory, but just to make sure that they absolutely cannot, I'm going to set 2 out here as well and say it's one way going this way and one way going this way. That way, no one should really have to get anywhere else apart from that and this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing here. So this is going to be one way this way and one way this way. So that way, if anyone needs to get to this hangar from, say, here, they'll come out, they'll go all the way around, cross over this point, come back around, and get to the hangar that way. It's going to be a little bit longer of a journey, but just having that one-way system set up, I think is going to make traffic flow in this airport so much better. And in saying that, we're also going to go ahead and say this is one way and this is one way. I don't know if these two are 100% necessary, but we're going to do it anyway, just in case people decide they want to go the wrong way. And I'm going to move this one over because I don't like the look of it. Perfect. No, I'm going to move it back. That should be fine. And we'll do the exact same thing for all of our runways. I just wanted to quickly point that out so that you guys did see that I am putting in one-way stops in this airport. So that is all good. Alrighty, all our taxiways are in and should be pretty well functional at this point. These are all one-way systems, and I think the traffic flow for taxiing is going to be absolutely fantastic. The next thing we need to think about is services for all of our stands. So we need a bunch of stuff because we have no small stands. We're not going to worry about, we have to worry about all of the things, right? The only thing that I'm not going to worry about is de-icing. So we are going to need a bunch of stuff. We're going to need, of course, fuel. We're going to need catering. We're going to need waste disposal. Honestly, that's about it. But that is still quite a lot to fit in this small space. And I also want to try using the terminal tool, which enables dividing the airport into separate areas independent from each other, which allows designation of employees and service vehicles to only carry out work within a designated terminal. So I want to do this. I have not used this tool before, and we'll have to figure out how it works. I kind of just want to test it up here. If I designate that as Terminal 1, that has assigned employees and assigned vehicles. If I do another one, it has to be large enough. If I do another one here, that becomes Terminal 2, but then if I connect them, they become one terminal. Okay, so that's good to know. Jump in here and get rid of all of that. So I'm unsure as of now whether I want this to be 1 or 2 terminals. I think I want it to be 1 and they can share services. We can have some services down the middle and traffic can go either way. But I'm not 100% sure yet. I think I think it's going to be 1. So let's go in and grab this area here. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure on how this tool actually works, but that's okay. And then I'll grab all of this up to the wall there. And that can connect in. Do the same thing down all the way to here. And from this corner all the way up. Right. And we can expand this later on if we need to. But that's our first major terminal. And we're going to have services and employees working only in this specific terminal. So that's how that's going to work. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure the logistics of that just yet, but we will figure it out as we go. Let's jump into aircraft infrastructure. The first thing we know we're going to need is fuel depots, and we're going to need avgas and jet A1. I believe we need both. So let's get those in where we can. How does this... What's the biggest building that we have in here that we need to put down? We have fuel tanks, which I don't think are particularly large. Catering depot is pretty big, but it can probably fit in somewhere back here. It does need a normal road connection though, so that is something to keep in mind. We'll need to have a tunnel or something for that. We could potentially almost fit it in here, but not quite. Alright, we'll figure out somewhere for that to be. It could come in down here maybe, but I'm thinking, oh, it's such an annoying amount of space. I wish this building was one smaller. I think we will have it in here though. If I can fit it somewhere. I really wish this was one smaller. It would make my life so much easier. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going to put this. I mean, we could have it like in the middle. Oh, it can't be below a terminal. So that's not an option. We need to figure out a place for all of these things to go. I mean, we could have it all the way over here, but then anyone who needs it from over here is going to be a little bit annoyed at us. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Which side is the road? So this side up the top needs to connect to the service roads. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's just throw it in wherever we can, and we'll figure it out as we go. How big are the road tunnels actually? Let's go back to planning mode. I go road tunnel and I say normal road tunnel down. So we might need to do some interesting things here. This might need to be a little bit interesting. And I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure about it at all. We could have it up here, but that seems bad. Can I put it underground? That would make me happy. So happy if I can put this building underground because it is too big. Catering depot. No. Not build this underground. That's a shame. Alright, I'm going to figure out a place for all these buildings to go and we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it works. So we have 2 road tunnels coming up from the top of our map. This first one here is going to connect to our catering depot, and this second one here is going to be for our service vehicles to actually get onto the service roads themselves. Then from there, we've added 2 large ATC towers to either side of our satellite terminal. I figured these are 2 pretty good spots to watch out for all of the runways and should give us plenty of flight capacity in general. We've also added in 2 vehicle depots so that we can assign vehicles to each of these sides. Obviously, they'll share a little bit, but for the most part, they will sort of prefer the closest. So we'll split our vehicles up onto either side. I've also added a trash depot down here. I'm hoping that that is good enough to service both of these satellite terminals. If it's not, we can always go ahead and mirror that over on this side here, and we shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. I'm also not going to upgrade these fuel depots with any fuel tanks because I honestly don't think it's going to be necessary. We can if we need to later on. There's plenty of room down here to do stuff like that. But then I'll also add a fuel depot to both this satellite terminal and this satellite terminal so that everyone just has their own fuel depot where they can grab fuel from. So I think that's pretty much all we need to add as of right now. The only other thing that we need to consider is our baggage. And our baggage is going to be in the bottom floor here. So I'm going to have to increase one of these areas here. I'm thinking this one here, if we make this square, we should definitely have more than enough room to get this up and running. We also need to make sure that we actually make this all secure zone. So can I just like go wild with this tool? It doesn't let me do it outside, so that's fine. We're going to have to make this all secure zone, which will take just a minute. And I might actually go around and do this with all of the other satellite terminals as well, just so that I don't forget. So yeah, a quick little timeout and we'll be back. Actually, I'm going to leave the other ones for right now, but I will do upstairs just in case that is important for some reason. I imagine it will be later on, but for right now, it doesn't matter too much. But we'll go ahead and fill all this out because this all will be secure zone in the end, including this little hallway which connects us to security. And you might have noticed in that time lapse before too that I tried to get sneaky, try to move the taxiways a little bit so I could sneak them in, my buildings in a little bit more like under here in this area. I moved these taxiways so they came up here. It turns out you can't build anything under the terminal itself, so that didn't work out. But that is what it is. So now that that's all done, we can go ahead and grab ourselves our baggage bay, rotate this around, and I'm thinking we'll just throw this. I mean, it could probably be off to the side a little bit. We go 2 off the wall. It is 5 wide, so we need to demolish a bunch of wall. I believe that much wall should get us done. And we'll do the same thing over here. I think our flooring is different too for some reason. I'm not sure why. 1, 2, 3, 5. Perfect. Grab ourselves our baggage bays. Rotate those around, and they need to be all enclosed in a secure area. So we actually need to make sure that this road is also secure. Is that what it's saying? Oh, no. It's because I demolished the wall. And that little section there also needs to be secure. That's a little bit silly. I really wish that once you demolished a wall, it sort of would remember that you actually drew a secure zone underneath it. But that should work out now if we grab ourselves a baggage bay, rotate it around, and we can place that in there. And do the exact same thing over here. And that should work out nicely. Those will be our baggage bays. We're going to have some of our security staff as well. We can have them check our baggage here. Although we might want to do that in a more centralized location so that we don't have to have multiple security checkpoints for our baggage. But for now, this is coming along nicely. We are almost ready to get up and running and start designing the interior. I'm not going to worry too much about the service vehicles and stuff for these 2 other satellite terminals just yet. I just wanted to have them in so that I knew where everything was going to go. I think we're going to leave the episode here for now. We got quite a lot done. I apologize if it was quite a time-lapse heavy video. Might even be a little bit shorter than usual, but we're getting there. We are definitely getting there. If you guys have watched any of my live streams, you know that I like to take my time with my building. So I apologize if that bothers you, but I know a lot of you guys like it and like to see the details. So in the next episode, we'll get our baggage all hooked up, figure out where that's going to run, figure out where we are going to have our check-in desks for each of these 2 terminals. We'll worry about these ones later. And I think next episode, there's a chance we'll get to open our airport. There's a chance. I don't want to promise it, but there is definitely a chance. So if you guys are enjoying the series, enjoying the videos, enjoying Airport CEO, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment for the sake of engagement. Become a member if you have the means. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button and share this video with all of your friends. But until next time, happy building, happy flying. Bye, guys.